there's always those go-to episodes you can go to, like, okay, this is the one that killed it. The Bear had one in season 2 that I was like, oh my God, this episode's amazing.
So what you're saying is I gotta tolerate and make it through season one, trudge through that,
to
and
watch one
then
good
season
episode,
two.
season 2.
To watch one good episode of season 2. Yes.
Curious enough, I did have it on my queue, but I've been
Yeah.
picking up other shows,
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
shows along the line, and it's like, well, that one's still there. I'll get to it. I'll get to
Yeah.
it. I'll
Yeah.
get to
That's how I am with Shogun. Like, I'm gonna get to it, but like I haven't yet.
It was good. It was good. I think there
It's
was
not
only
as
like
great as
one.
it. Is it overhyped? Because
Me
a
and
lot of
Jen,
people are like hyping
I'll
it
put it like
very
this.
high.
Jen doesn't watch many shows with me, especially if it's a period piece and it's kind of like dramatic. But
Mm-hmm.
she watched that with me. She wanted to watch it,
Mm.
and she like it was so good for her. Like Monday comes, she's like Shogun, Shogun.
Damn. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a bit to get it to find its groove. I'll tell you that much. At the
Yeah.
beginning, it's a little hard to kind of latch on to, but once it picks up, the second half of the season is actually really good. They came out and they said they're going to do a season 2 and 3. I don't know if I'm going to watch a season
Oh,
2 and 3,
I don't know.
even though it was good because
It should have
this
ended.
season covered everything in the source material.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Covered everything. So
Yeah.
anything they do after this, they're gonna be making it up as they go, kind of.
It's sort of
Yeah.
like this podcast. We're just making it up as we
Yeah.
go. On that note,
Yeah.
welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and just make it up as we go. I'm your host, BBL Drizzy.
Oh, I am, and I am not your host. Time to throw hands.
Ah,
And I'm your other guy. Where's the beef?
exactly. So, in this week's episode, we're going to be dissecting Twitter, X, beats that's basically happening on social media, and we're going to see where we land on this crazy debate. And the whole thing's a current event, so we have no current event for you. So, there you go. So, Jose, you want to break us down a little more about what we're going to getting into?
Yeah, so we're understand, what kind of episode can we do? And we like to scroll through Twitter or X or Twitter, I mean X, whichever one you want to call it. Usually I go with the Twitter, I mean X aspect. And that's always the perfect place to go to if you want to see some toxicity, some beef, some people fighting over the smallest things. And it was like, why don't we do an episode where we just talk about what is some of the big beefs happening right now on Twitter that people are divisive on and are fighting back and forth. And let's talk about it, maybe fight amongst ourselves and kind of throw our hat in the ring, pick our corner, where we're gonna go. Hopefully not get canceled, and we'll gonna go from there.
It'll be our
So,
5th time getting canceled.
I mean, I know I myself sometimes will get caught up on some of those Twitter beefs where it was like, first comment. No, I avoid like 9 out of 10 of them, but there's always that 1 out of 10 where it was like, oh, you are going too much left field, or you are way out there. I have to say
I
something.
already know. Hey,
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's Batman is the greatest Batman version we've ever seen. And you're like, it's Superman. We need a Zack Snyder cut of everything. It's like, I guess
Oh God, there was almost a beef here, and I put it because it's creeping up again. Snack Snyder,
Yeah.
beef is creeping up again, so I almost threw that in there. And I'd be seeing George and Dan commenting in there, getting into
Oh,
their
yeah.
own beefs as I watch
Oh,
from a
yeah.
distance. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
do I
yeah.
join in? Tag me in, Dan. Tag me in.
Tag me in. Oh yeah, man. Because like sometimes, for the most part, we're busy guys. We're doing stuff. You look, you
Yeah.
kind of chuckle. Some days, nah, man. I had some time today. You got me today, my friend. Nah, I'm not gonna let little 11-year-old Jimmy over in Ohio get away with this. I will bring you down.
Not again.
With a vengeance.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
I don't even know what's happening. I'm gonna be honest, man. I go into a fugue state and I'm like, oh man, what just happened? Where have I been? What day is it?
No. What year is it?
What the-
Yeah. 3 weeks went by and you're stuck in a Twitter beef.
Someone hates
Sometimes
me?
you get like the hype man. Sometimes I'll comment on someone and I'll go back and forth with them. I'm like, boom, hitting them with the facts, with the knowledge, throwing it all in there, maybe making them cry behind the computer screen. And then all of a sudden it's like George creeps up behind me like, yeah, because I get that like button. I get the like on my comment. And that's the equivalent. Like I'm picturing George coming behind. and then kind of going back to the background.
You've been
Yeah.
ratioed. Get the more likes. I beat you.
With that being said, you guys want to get into our first beef?
Let's do it, man. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
So one of the beefs that's been taking Twitter X by storm over the last month or so, month and a half, since it was first announced. And this is a problem that's been with different movies and things like that. It's just coming to light specifically for this issue. And it's when it comes to casting what people consider ugly people. And the main source right now that's being used is the Romeo and Juliet that cast Tom Holland and Francesca Amewudah-Rivers. She was cast as Juliet. And this just blew up Twitter X, where everyone was like, what is wrong with this casting? You couldn't cast a Juliet that's attractive, and there's been a lot of shaming from the people on there, a lot of trolling, some very like malicious stuff that's being put out there because of her appearance, and it's not to their liking. But this also isn't the first time that this has happened. We've noticed in other times where people complain on castings of like, oh, why couldn't that be a more attractive person?
This is two really unattractive women for nearly 2 hours. Oh my God.
We're going to do something amazing. In fact, we are going to go out of our way not to cast a single attractive person.
If Sydney Sweeney was in this movie, at least she's good looking.
What, this person's ugly, this girl's ugly. Like, why were they casted? And we've even seen it creeping into video game character designs where they're like, why do you design that character so ugly? Why can't they be hot? So, let's discuss the general concept of looks when it comes to casting. George, you look eager here, so let's start with you. What are your thoughts?
It's a mixed bag, because when I saw this thing announced, a key thing that we mentioned is the fact this is just for theater. This isn't a movie. Like, people on Twitter are going ape shit because like, man, when I go to the movies, I want to see someone look whatever. It's like, well, I'm not going to the theater to watch that. It's like, it's okay because it's going to be a stage play. You probably never went to a stage play in your life, all right? You uncultured swine.
Swine.
And also the first thing about it's like, if you knew anything about Romeo and Juliet, the first Romeo and Juliet was played by 2 men. You want to talk about unattractive, all right?
Yes.
Some dude had to kiss some other dude, okay? I mean, this is like, when it comes to stage plays, I always feel like there's so much more forgiveness, at least for me. Like, I honestly don't care who plays what when it comes to a stage play. That's because that's where my love for acting came, was being in theater. So it's just like, man, cut her some freaking slack. That being said,
on stage, George, and you remember, I cast and I played the leader of the Jets. All Puerto Rican of me was the leader of the white Jets in West Side Story.
Hold on, did we have any white people in our West Side Story?
No, the
right?
Jets were Hispanic.
Yeah.
Jose drank a lot of Starbucks during that production run.
Lucky I picked up a special batch this morning. 2 venti pumpkin spice, extra pumpkin.
A lot of Starbucks.
It was all Puerto Ricans and Dominicans in that whole production. Like, we had no other races. We culturally appropriated everything.
Continue, George. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's a great point. But a thing that I do have to say is I've seen pictures of the girl, and I will say, when it comes to Romeo and Juliet, Juliet is written as someone who is the fairest of them all type, like, she's so beautiful that everyone kind of stops speaking and just looks at her. This girl does not have necessarily drop dead gorgeous appeal to her. I've seen images of her being compared to like the Predator, which is pretty messed up. But it's like, okay, maybe she's not the prettiest chick that they could have got. Maybe they could have got, someone like a name that I can't think of right now.
Because your wife is listening. Oh, that's why you can't think of a name.
But faces come to mind. There are people that come into my head. Like, how about that chick who played Storm? I can't remember her freaking name though. But
Halle
you know,
Berry?
no, the second Storm, because we need someone younger. If it's gonna be someone acting with Tom Holland, then it has to be a younger person. So Alexandra Shipp, her name is. Like she's a good actress. She's young. She's pretty. You know, like I'm not even upset with like the racial aspect of it. You can get whoever. It's theater acting. But I admit, like this girl's maybe not, supermodel appeal.
What about you, Dan? Where do you stand on this line?
I speak with my fellow ugly community that we need to be represented in movies and projects. Okay,
Fellow ugly
You
community.
can see us.
You got those
Yes.
dimples, motherfucker. We talking about?
I
This
paid
Mario
for these.
Mario Lopez motherfucker over here.
We need to see all walks of life represented and everything. The fact that
Yes.
it's a stage play, that tells you they're going for talent, right? Talent-wise, let's see a different iteration of this character. Let's see something we haven't seen. They may not go traditional. They may add some kind of more modern kind of flair, sort of like what's his name? Luz Bosman. What's his name? The director that did that. I can't think of his name right now. The one that did that Romeo and Juliet with Leo.
Boslerman.
There you go.
Yeah.
Close enough. Just flipped over some of the syllable sounds, but there you go. The letters were there. But the point is, we don't know if they're going to do a different like iteration of that. They may kind of modernize it a little bit with the throwback feel. We don't know what they're going to do with it. Comparing her to Predator, like that's really jacked up. Like the poor girl got casted in something. Like think about being that actor for a moment. This is like the biggest role you're ever given. You get to star against Spider-Man, right? Like, oh my God, I'm going to star against this big time actor. And then you look on Twitter and it's like, you look like the Predator. It's like, oh, damn. Like that hurts. You know
They
what
were
I mean?
even
Like,
doing Pulp Fiction comparisons.
Yeah.
with
exactly.
her and all that.
Yes, man. I saw that too. I'm like, that is
Yeah.
so jacked up. Like, poor girl. I know what you mean, though. You know, George, like, she may not be the most attractive one, but again, it's stage play. Like, I've seen men play
Yeah.
women and women play men all the time, when I've gone to see, theater shows. So it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I've seen people play giants, and guess what? News alert, they're not giant people. So, like, it's okay. We're here
Wait,
to
you're
just see
saying
great
Peter Dinklage wasn't a
performances.
giant in the Avengers movie? You said-
Oh, he had a very strong presence about him, at least. At least he has that. No, but like people are just so overcritical about everything. They just hate on everything, as we know. And so that's what makes Twitter so great, is because people can just voice unfiltered versions of themselves, and you could choose to be offended that day or not.
Is she attractive to me personally? No, that's not my taste. I don't find her attractive at all. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people that are going to find her attractive. Everyone's attractive to someone. Everyone's got different tastes. What's attractive to me might be ugly to other people. What's ugly to me might be attractive to other people. So that's like the first point. You guys already made the point about the stage play. It doesn't freaking matter when you're on the stage play at all. Unless you're gonna try to accurately cast something, and then all the understudies are going to have to be just as accurate when it comes to a stage play in case something happens. Those things, when it comes to theater, you pass by talent automatically. This isn't about the eye candy at all. So, you guys already mentioned that. Even if this was a movie, can unattractive people not fall in love? Can someone not fall in love with these people? Is that what you're trying to? The whole story is a story about love against all odds. Warring families and still find a way and stuff. Does that
Including
people
Fuglies.
automatically?
Including Fuglies. You can fall in love.
Are people automatically disqualified if they're not considered like models? Because guess what? Then a lot of people are not going to be falling in love, including a lot of the people making those tweets, calling her Predator, doing Pulp Fiction. I will guarantee that at least 80% of those people themselves would be considered on the level that they're painting her at when it comes to attractiveness in there. But they're behind the computer. They're not taking the risk of being exposed out there for everyone to trash in general. So I'm not an issue with the casting. And then if you just want to broaden it to movies in general, when it comes to casting for looks itself, I think the only time that it is important to cast for looks is if it's a important story element for that character themselves. If it's not an important story element where the plot and the story revolves around the looks of that person, it shouldn't matter who's cast there as long as they can act and they've got talent. So I understand the fairest of them all aspect. I remember watching La Llorona, and they go on telling you the story at the beginning of the movie on how the whole town was enamored and she was like this beauty and all of that's kind of what you described. And then when the movie did the reveal, it was like she wasn't ugly, but it was like I don't know if I see the whole town being like obsessed with her. You know, there'll be some people that are like, yeah, all right, here we go. But a whole town? I don't know. But that's part of that character's identity. If it's not part of the character's identity, where it was like people want them because they're beautiful or they're trying to do something with their looks, then it shouldn't matter what they look like. Because if not, we're gonna end up with a whole bunch of CW movies where you have a bunch of attractive people who can't act for shit.
Wait, what's that, George?
Hey everyone, let's take a moment to talk about where I've been getting these new Not a Strong Start t-shirts from. Head on over to itsnas.threadless.com, the only place where you can get Not a Strong Start merch, whether it's our newly designed mascot or just your favorite movie logo now with some NASS flair. You can rep your NASS love on tee, hoodie, mug, rug, and so much more. So get yours today. Just click on that link below and have yourself a strong start. And not a strong, have a not a strong start, have a start that's strong, but not so strong. You know what to do.
Whoa, great information, George. Thank you.
All right, we're ready to get into the second controversy here.
Yeah.
So this is based off of a video game that came out. And this game actually had two separate controversies revolving around the same underlining theme.
That's a good start.
Yeah. So this game is called Stellar Blade. So Stellar Blade is action adventure game, but the whole point of it is the lead character in it was designed to be very attractive, to look like like a model. It's got all the assets of a model
Yeah.
in there. And has the outfits. Yeah, has the outfits to go to it. So the first controversy when this came out, there was a lot of complaints that this character was too sexy, too revealing, showing too much skin. And people were complaining about that. And then also that she wasn't a realistic design of a woman. It was exaggerated to be super attractive, even though it's designed after an actual actress to the T.
Yeah.
So that was the first controversy. It was too sexy, too much skin. There was a lot of people complaining. It was a lot of Westerners. It was a lot of people on our side of the country that were complaining that too sexist. Then, when the game actually released, even though the game was received well for its gameplay and the mechanics and all of that stuff, some of the people that were on board with the game started complaining that they censored some of the outfits. So basically, for example, you had what it looked like a one-piece swimsuit outfit that before maybe cut down close to the belly button, and now it cut down maybe like 3 inches above the belly button. So it was like slight, tiny alterations from the first one, where
You
maybe
just
you get
lost
a
a customer.
yeah, you get all that. So now people were up in arms saying that they censored her. They reduced how revealing the outfits were, and they weren't happy. They wanted it to go back to where it was before. They shouldn't have censored it. It should still be as revealing and showing as much skin as it did before. Dan, I know you're not a big gamer, but just based off of that controversy, what are your thoughts on that?
So my question would be, does her revealing nature, right? Like the way she looks, the way she dresses, does that have anything to do with the video game, or is this kind of like a Laura
No,
Croft situation?
it's all eye candy.
That's it.
Yeah, it's about how happy you are when you play the game. That's what's about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all that
pure eye
matters.
candy.
Get
That's
those
it.
XP scores up one way or another, George. I guess if it doesn't have anything to do with the story, then it doesn't really matter, right? Like it's
So
kind
get
of
your
irrelevant.
P-score up.
Yeah, there you go. I just think like then it becomes irrelevant. It really doesn't matter. I mean, if that's what your intended I guess I always fall back onto the form of art. If artistically you had something to say, even if it's somewhat controversial, put it out there because that's what the art was intended for. And video games is still artistic. They clearly had a vision of what they had for this character, and they had it, and then they started kind of G-rating her more throughout the last few years, by putting her in more outfits or whatnot, But like we've seen it with like man, what was that one? That movie with Pamela Anderson. Remember, like, what was it?
Barbed wire. Barbed
Barbed
wire.
wire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
based off the comic book. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that character needed it, right? It was like part of like the DNA of the character. If this is like that for the character, then it's kind of dumb that they're censoring her. But if it really doesn't have anything to do with the storyline, it doesn't modify it at all. It really doesn't make a difference. But as the artist, you don't want to have the community like unless it's something radically racial or something that's like completely insensitive towards a community, which this is really isn't. Don't let people influence the art and craft that you're putting out there. So they should have just stuck true to what they were doing, my opinion.
With this, as a gamer since a kid, uh, I can't say I've ever played a game and be like, okay, wait, I can't say never. Okay, most of the time, I can't say I ever look at the game and had my gameplay decision based on the looks of the character because I don't play the games for how a character looks. And the only exception was like Mass Effect because there you have to do like romance,
Yeah.
and one of the characters was based off of a real actress. I'm like, all right, I'm romancing her.
Which
There,
actress?
that she was in Chuck, also
Oh,
in The
that
Handmaid's Tale.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. The love interest in Chuck, right? That girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
It was her, and it was like, okay, there I made a decision off of looks because
See,
it was
but that I'm gonna argue with you back on that. You're just feeling that you are the character at that moment, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you're just doing that's it. You're just a method actor. That's all you were doing at that time.
I was gonna have to pick someone anyway, so there, like, why
Yeah,
not
there
you
be
go,
selective
see?
to my taste? And that character
Yeah.
was designed more
To be
towards
you.
like my taste.
And in Mass Effect,
Yeah.
relationships matter.
There you
Yes.
go. See. So there you go.
Yeah, and I stood loyal through multiple games. So
There you go. The longest relationship you've ever had.
but besides that, like I said, I couldn't ever say that I stood there, played a game, and I was just focused on my character's looks, whether they're attractive or they're not attractive, like that. Because that's not what I'm playing video games for. Like, what does it matter? What are you gonna do with this video game character that you need them to look good at all? If you need visual stimulation, you got plenty of other sources that you can go to
Like this
for visual
podcast.
stimulation. Yeah. You've got choices, or better yet, there's the real thing out there. All right,
Yes.
not that. So like, I don't think it matters that much. So first of all, the people to make a big deal that the character was like too sexy and too sexy. What does it matter? If you don't like looking at the character, don't play the game. Then the other aspect of, if you look at the difference in the costume designs, they maybe eliminated about 2 inches of skin that was showing compared to before. She's still very revealing.
Fake
You know,
skin. Fake skin, mind
Huh?
you. Pixelated skin.
Yeah,
It's pixelated
pixelated
skin.
skin.
It's not real skin, people.
There isn't much of a difference. That's like you're looking at a girl and it's like, oh, she looks good. She's got this nice top. She's got a nice little skirt on, and then she lowers her skirt like 1 inch lower, and you're like, she's not sexy anymore.
Yeah.
That's like you lost an inch of skin. Like, what does it matter?
It's
at all?
probably also saving the hard drive on like the video game probably has a little less data, right? Because there's a little less clothes. There's a little
Yeah.
less more stuff. That's just saving you
Yeah.
hard drive at this point. So you're actually doing a disservice to your video game system. Think about that.
Yeah. So I feel this is just people wanting to argue, and people who, I'll just say it, maybe are struggling with the real thing in real life, and
Buglies.
like have to try to escape into the video game for that aspect, and need their character to be a smoke show so they can, have their imagination take over from there. Besides that, I don't see a point to it at all. Why did you need your character to be like a sex symbol in a video game?
Just like, why do you need to see your Juliet as a sex symbol when you're going to a theater play to watch it? Does it really matter if she's sexy or
Right.
not?
Yeah.
You're
Well,
not
people
Romeo.
She already picked Romeo.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of lost already, dude.
And people get creepy with it. Like I before doing Zeppo, looking through the arguments of that, and they're going to other characters from other games, and there was this one individual who was like, yeah, when they don't make an attractive like design for the character, like look at Ellie in The Last of Us, she was ugly, and then
There's a
from there
child.
Child.
I'm like, she's supposed to be like 13, 14. Why do you need any 13, 14-year-old to be attractive for you, especially, in the video game when it's not even like a real person? Like, what does it matter? Like, you just came out like a creeper. What about you, George? What is your thoughts?
I mean, I guess I gotta play devil's advocate here. How I look at it, there sex sells. Let's just be real about it, all right? And I remember seeing the
Right.
original designs for this character, and yeah, she was a little bit more revealing. The other reality is she's still very shapely. The costume that she has on is very form-fitting. It's practically airbrushed on if it was real life. She's also a cybernetic being. She's not even human. So it's like, that doesn't even matter. But like anyone who's complaining like, oh, she's too sexy, she's too naked, it's just like, well, you were never going to play the game to begin with. So let's just be real about that, all right? You're just complaining to complain. But like the majority of people who play video games are men. It's sad to say, but it's just a reality of it. There's a larger percentage of men who play video games. Guess what? They like seeing sexy women. It's always been that way. That's why Tomb Raider sold so well back in the day. That's why people lust over Tifa in Final Fantasy VII. And you see her in the new remake, she's sexy as hell. She got a super tight crop top and the boobs are popping. It's just what it is, all right? When I played Nemesis of Resident Evil 3, I worked really hard so I can get Jill Valentine in a nurse's costume. That was very low cut.
You
And
have
that was
never seen George as motivated as he was getting Valentine in that nurse's
I got all her
costume.
sexy costumes, so I can fight zombies in sexy costumes. So it's like it just is what it is, But if
Sucker
a
Punch
story,
style.
like you guys are saying, like if it's a story-driven thing, then looks aren't important. You look like a game like Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West. The main character Aloy she's not supposed to be a sexy person. And then you have the opposite, and people are making fun of it and be like, why isn't she pretty? Why isn't she good looking? It's like, why I don't know why we're an ugly person. It's like, that's not the point of that world. It's a Mad Max-like world where makeup doesn't exist anymore, guys. All right. Survival is what happens in this world. That's all that matters. So
She
I think
doesn't have deodorant.
no, they don't.
No, so she stinks.
So if the story calls for it, then it makes sense. I think this one, it's a Japanese game with a sexy girl. Guess what? That's what they do over there. If you go to Japan, they don't have porn like how we have porn.
They have
All right?
robots.
Or, yeah, they got robots. They got robots. They got
Pillows.
cartoons.
And pillows.
That's what they got. So it's like, just accept what it is. Be more cultural, guys.
There
all
you
right?
go.
Broaden your
Yeah.
horizons. Understand.
Travel
this
a
is
little
what it's
bit.
Other
Travel a little
places.
bit. Get a
I will say,
passport.
I played the game. It's a really fun game. It's really good. Besides watching her butt through the whole thing, 'cause that's what you're seeing is her behind. It's a really fun game. There's great action in it.
Wait,
But
so that
it
part's
would've
not
been-
fun? You said
It would have been
besides
better if
that.
there's more belly button, though, right?
Yeah.
You never see her front. You like if it's a movie scene, you're never gonna see the front side of her. It's like being in Cyberpunk. It's like, yeah, I mean, my character's super sexy. You're playing in first person mode. You're never gonna see them. What does it matter? It doesn't matter if you're they or them or have a penis or not a penis. You're never seeing it.
What you're gonna do? You're gonna go to like the wardrobe design screen and just keep it there, just so you can like
Just-
admire them all day.
And just soak in the moment.
Put on a little spin where the character just spinning around in a circle.
Ah.
Oh yeah.
All right, the next controversy we have here. This has to do with a new Star Wars show that came out. I believe it might have been like the 5th episode or anything.
Yeah.
The Twitter X lost it over this clip of a scene, and it was all over the place with people complaining like, "Hey, this is what your kids are watching. Like, watch out, they're in danger."
Yeah,
at this
they're after
point.
your
And-
kids.
Yeah, and basically what it was, there was a character there who ended up being non-binary, ended up being a they them in there, and one of the Inquisitors out there referred to them as they right after they pretty much got eliminated. They eliminated the character, and they're standing over her over them and the character is like, they can still like survive. Let's bring them to the ship, like, and do all that. The Inquisitors, who are out there in this world to eliminate Jedi's, and they're here having this debate, calling this Jedi by those pronouns, and then they just leave them there to pass away at that point. So, of course, everyone lost it because the use of the extra pronouns and the they and the them, and throwing that into the Star Wars world, especially in an animated show, which is going to be mostly kids that are going to be watching it. So they're like, why are you introducing this to kids on this TV show? And that was like the big controversy, which is adding again to a lot of people have problems with Disney, because they consider Disney to lean too much more towards what they call woke aspect. And this is just another example. They just added fuel to the fire for all those people that are anti-Disney at this point because of what they put into their content. Personally, with this, the problem that I have with this mainly is because, and I haven't read the comics, so George, maybe you'll have a different thought process if you've had. I haven't read the comics. I've watched all the movies. I've watched the animated series. Pretty much everything that's considered canon within this world, uh, spanning centuries, like so much time frame in between all the content that we've gotten, and never ever has there been a they them in that entire world. All the characters that we've met, to all of a sudden throw one in there out of nowhere, and is this the one person in the galaxy? And we just, or we just been, it's just been so like lucky or random that we just haven't met one in this point through all like the characters. And this is intergalactic issues, which at this point, like, I don't think even pronouns should even matter at this point. You're just human. You got humans and different kinds of aliens. But that was my problem. It feels forced because it has not been part of this world. And for you to just randomly introduce it at this point, where it has not been established in any of that canon content that has been seen through the animated series and all the movies and everything and the spin-offs, then why now? Unless you're trying to force it to say, hey, look, we're inclusive, we're including this. Because besides that, at least from what I saw, it's not a major bearing in the story at that point in time.
Apparently they're not inclusive. They killed off the only they them they had, right?
So it doesn't exist
Yeah.
anymore.
They got eliminated.
That is
They're saying
true.
not in our world.
But yeah, so that's my big problem with that is, you already have an established world. This is something that has not been established at all. So to throw it in there, it feels off. It feels like it doesn't fit into this world based off of what you've shown us in this world. George, what were your thoughts?
Man, someone almost say the same thing about a fast-moving Darth Vader. But in any case, I I know
that was just turning his energy into kinetic energy. Okay, it was dormant energy before, and he was like, "Now is the time."
And the footage was just sped up. They just sped it up.
That's all it was.
That's all it was.
I will say I'm with you 100% on what you said, but after watching the scene, I think in the scene it's okay. Just because, first of all, the character died, so they never actually. Let me finish. Let me finish.
And clip right there.
And then right there,
George is cooking. All right, the character dies, so they never actually get the opportunity to say I'm a they, I'm a them, and like project that whole narrative. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're pushing the conversation. It's the two villains. It's the Inquisitors who are saying it. So I'm looking at it as a regular they them situation, as a situation. Let's say you met someone on the street who didn't get along with, and they were like, "What's your problem with that person?" Oh, they looked at me the wrong way. Sure, they may have been a boy, they may have been a girl, but you might just say they looked at me the wrong way. They didn't come across, they and them, it can be used in that kind of way. So I felt just in the English language, it was used properly in the moment. Because she's saying they or them, it could just be they or them, the Jedi, you know, in that sense. They're not necessarily even addressing their gender within how that dialogue and everything's going down. I think that they them was taken out of context by the viewership. Granted, at the same time, I'm fully aware that the production staff said like, oh no, they are non-binary. That screwed them over by saying that, because now there's a whole conversation of people being upset. But like, I never felt like by watching that scene that there was this whole agenda unfolding. It's more of an agenda for me when you have to like educate me and you're like, no, 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 I'm a they them, like in Doctor Who. Like they're doing that with that, where like they're having a character who's they them, and they're making sure to tell you like, I'm they them, and I'm a man who dresses up as a woman, and this is my son, and he sees me as his dad, but I'm they them. It becomes this whole thing. And now you're like, what the hell? Like, just tell me the story. I don't care about that. You know, I don't feel
Let me
like this
throw something
episode was
your way,
doing that.
George.
Huh?
Let me throw something your way, George. These Inquisitors, villains, pretty ruthless,
Yeah.
out to hunt and eliminate Jedi at all. You think they will take the time to get your pronouns correct before they
But that's
hunt
what I
you
mean. I
down
don't
and
think that,
cut you?
for me, how I read the scene, I'm not looking at it as them seeing their pronouns. I'm seeing, like I said, they're addressing they or them as the Jedi. You know what I mean? Not they or them as he, she. You know, that's how the scene read to me.
Mhm.
I think it only becomes an issue because the producers are like, oh no, they were non-binary, so that's that. And it's like, why are you shooting yourself in the foot, man? Like, don't say anything. Just let it be what it is, and then
You
people
already
can
have a
just watch it.
microscope.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys. Sure, maybe they were non-binary. Shut up. Shut up. Don't say anything.
What about you, Dad?
Yeah, I haven't seen the scene, but I would have mimicked what George was saying about maybe them implying the Jedi, possibly, but without seeing it, I don't know for a fact if that could have been established. But I think the bigger issue, or at least one that I've seen from Star Wars, is not so much the pronoun thing. It still bothers me that in Star Wars Episode 1, young Anakin looks at Padme and says, "Are you an angel?" That bothers me because angel is tied into Catholicism and Christianity, which is an earthly based religion. That still bothers me. It's like they're not tied into earth. We have nothing that established that earth and everything that we develop of religion and Christianity exists. So the term angel doesn't apply to what he's saying in the context of that conversation. Like that bothers me too. So the pronouns things is like smaller scale because you're talking about like a pronouns thing. The other one, you're talking about a full-on religion of something that was manifested, created, whatever came with Earthling later that never existed in this world. So even George Lucas himself has broken the rules of adding Earthling lingo or terminology or phrases into Star Wars. And it's just like, so it's not new necessarily that they're doing that, but there is those moments where it kind of takes you out of the lore of Star Wars and the belief that this happened a long time ago, somewhere far, far away, because then you're hearing Earthling things being incorporated into it. You know what I mean? So I can understand why some people may get annoyed by something like that. But as I've said, Star Wars has been doing this for a while now, and it's just like you just try to look past it.
They're all alien. It gets a lot of alien stuff. I think that's why I'm almost forgiving with it, because it's just like, it's already not correlated with what's normal to us, right? So if it's all aliens, it's like, yeah, aliens could be whatever. I don't care. Let aliens be whatever the hell they want. They're they them. They could be Zerza. I don't care. They're aliens. Whatever. Whatever.
All right,
Okay.
so let's do what's on the queue. What movie centered around some kind of rival or fight or beef between two characters that you want to recommend to our audience? So, Jose, start us off.
I want to go with a video game on the queue. Something that should be played is The Last of Us Part 2. And this is a video game where there was a lot of controversy over the design of one of the female characters because they believed that she was too masculine. But I believe it fit her character and it fit her role within it, and it was a part of who she was, so it fit perfectly. Just because she was a little, more muscular. Think like China from like WWF days
Jeez.
and
Yeah.
things like that. So she's like jacked,
Yeah.
but it fit her character, it fit her story. They explained why she got like that. But till this day, and we're probably gonna see it when the new season comes out, the controversy
Yeah.
creeping up again regarding that character, especially once they get casted. So that's what's on the queue. The Last of Us Part 2.
I'm gonna go with a show that's on Netflix. I believe they're working on a season 2, hopefully, fingers crossed. And that's Sandman. That one had a couple controversies within its casting. One was they cast a female for Lucifer,
Oh yeah,
and
she was
then
good.
she was real good. And the other one was they cast a person of color for the character of Death, who is
And
typically a
she
very
was good
pale.
too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna admit, I myself was a little like, I don't know if you made the right choice, because it's coming off of a visual medium, which is comic books. Comic books already have everything designed. It has a certain look. You don't have to change anything. But I love it when I'm proven wrong, and those actors crushed those roles. They totally killed it, and it made it so much more worth it more to watch. So definitely watch that show.
I didn't think Sandman was. I had high hopes for it, but I fully went into it expecting to be disappointed because they don't usually land properties like that
Yeah.
properly. So when I saw it, I'm like, man, I really hope other people watch this. And it was one of those ones where like they needed viewers to greenlight a second season because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I thought it was great, man. It really surprised me. I liked Sandman.
It was good. I even liked their spinoff.
The Dead Boy Detectives.
Yeah, the Dead Boy
I haven't seen that one
Detectives,
yet. Really?
which Death makes
Yeah.
an appearance from
Yeah.
Sandman.
It just came out.
Nice,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, really good. So I'm gonna have to go with you know, the miniseries, the show Beef. Got to go with the two characters where it all kind of basically a Twitter beef that happened right there in real life. You know, with you know, angry motor driving, and it leads to a whole consequences of things based off of beef, which is telling you sometimes the beef is just not worth it. Sometimes just let it go. But not us
Eh,
on those random Twitter days that we go in.
Oh no.
Yeah,
So,
that actually it's kind of how the Twitter beefs are. It's two people that are on two different extremes, just butting heads, while the majority of people are somewhere around the middle, just kind of listening and watching.
mhm. And then also know sometimes some people are just trolling just to get a laugh out of you, and they're just
Yeah.
riling you up for
Uh,
no reason.
just a
It's
living
fun.
can of fuel to the fire. Just
Exactly, man. Exactly. But on that note, thank you for watching another episode of Not a Strong Start. Please like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter /X at Not a Strong Start. I'm your host, BBL Drizzy. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I'm not your host. Time to throw some hands. You can find me at This Is Me Nombre on Instagram.
And I'm your other guy. Where's the beef? You can follow me at Nicolopolis.